Do you remember that wedding from a month ago? Yeah, like that one that you needed to start editing yesterday? But you also need to prep today for your wedding tomorrow, and you're leaving for your first vacation in forever on Monday. So what do? It seems that the only creative part of your edits are the excuses you're going to have to give your clients. We have the solution, Wedditor. Wedditor is a team of top wedding editors, project managers, and account coordinators that help us wedding filmmakers edit. They match the right editors with your style so you can spend your time where it matters most, on your business. Nick and I both use Wedditor, and we don't know how we would run our companies without them. It takes a team to build an amazing business, and you shouldn't try to do it all on your own. Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor to help you free up your time so that you can focus on growing your brand. Be sure to use promo code HTFW for $50 off your first project. Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing. Who you are, where you're located, all of the fun things just about like you, and let the listeners know who is Becca Neblock.
Oh God. I just panicked so hard. I don't know why. I'm sorry, man.
I was like, did the internet break?
So sorry. Okay.
Hello and welcome to the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is Nick Miller and I am joined by my friend John Bunn. John, how are you doing today?
Dude, I'm good. Tomorrow at the time of this recording is my birthday. I'm going to be 35. So if you want to send me gifts, just DM me on the gram. You can send me the gifts. I just got back from Austin, Texas over at Vision Quest. Got to hang out with our bro, Ray Roman, our other bro, Matt Johnson. All the people. I mean, it was a lot of fun. So it was great. We're back into town in the editing mode and super excited about today's episode.
That is right. We have Becca Neblock on today. She is a Denver-based wedding filmmaker, photographer that also shoots a ton in like the Seattle Pacific Northwest. So we talked to her about her vision for her business, how she doesn't like to do networking in traditional ways. You know, it's like, hey, I want to build relationships with other vendors and actually be friends with them, not just use them, you know, for their business and that kind of stuff. We talked about being a female in this industry and what that like. And then we talk a little bit about Venture 2020 towards the end. So you're going to want to check out this entire podcast. So let's go ahead and jump in to our conversation with Becca.
All right, so thank you so much, Becca Neblock, for being on the show. Why don't you do us a favor? Tell the How to Film Weddings listeners kind of who you are, where you're located, just a little bit about you and your wedding film business.
Yeah, so I am located in Denver, Colorado currently, but a majority of my business is in Seattle, Washington. That's where I had moved from. I don't know what the other question was, for being honest.
Just basically, so yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Well, I was gonna say, why don't you tell us about your business? I know that you are interesting in that you yourself actually do a little bit of both photo and video. So why don't you kind of talk about your business and how you set that up? And you know, are you more photo, more video? What do you like doing more? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So my business is actually about 50% photo, 50% video. I had originally started off as a photographer, but I didn't really have a lot of interest in weddings. And then I basically had a bunch of friends that were getting married and didn't have wedding videographers. And so I started just filming for them. And then that kind of just branched out. And I got like way more interested in weddings because I felt like there was a lot more flexibility to do what you want versus photography with weddings at the time was very like rigid and like traditional was all I knew.
Cool.
So
yeah, so you're about 50% photo, 50% video, and most of your weddings are in Seattle, but you live in Denver, so you're like, how many are in that area? Like, how much are you traveling? I guess is the question.
Well, I was gone every Thursday through Sunday for 4 months. That it was in Washington. Yeah. The move to Denver wasn't really planned until after like all these weddings had been booked. But now the goal for next year is to not be gone that much in Washington, but have it be more like 50-50 Colorado, Washington.
Cool. And you're doing photo video. Which one do you prefer to do now? You said at the beginning you like video, but are you still feeling that way, or you like one over the other?
No, they're both just different. I honestly like it when I get booked for both. So when it's me controlling both photo and video, and then I have a team with me, that's my favorite.
That sounds awesome. It sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's nice because everyone's just on the same page.
Yeah.
How many are you shooting in a year? Like, how many weddings does your company try to take on? What's like your happy place for the number of weddings that you shoot?
I shot, I think it was 21 this year. That's honestly a good spot for me. I'm honestly a really slow editor, so it's like
preaching to the choir over here.
It's way better if like 20 to 25 is probably ideal.
And then for the listeners, why don't you tell us just kind of rough estimate of like what you're charging, what all's included for doing that?
Yeah, so for video, it's $4,500 to $6,200 is like my price range.
Okay.
So for my like intro package, it's 6 hours and a 3-minute film, and then my highest package is 9 hours. 9 hours, a 6 to 8 minute film, full-length ceremony and toast, and an Instagram trailer.
Gotcha. And so how long, what year of business is this for you? Like, how long you've been doing this?
I filmed my first wedding in 2016.
Okay.
Wow. She's kicking our butt.
Yeah.
Just saying. So you started 3 years ago, and you're already starting out at $4,500. I met you at Venture this last year in Denver. Just really impressed, and we'll talk a little bit more about it here in a little bit, but just impressed by you. You were kind of helping run the show. Started following you on social, and you kind of, like, what was cool and refreshing about you is it just kind of felt like you were you weren't trying to be something else, and just watching your social and everything, it's just like you have this vibe about you that I felt like was really cool, and wanted to like let the listeners kind of introduce them to you and kind of talk to you about how you've gotten to this place just 2 to 3 years into your business. I know when we were messaging back and forth beforehand, one of the things that we kind of were talking about is just like having an opinion, like when it comes to your business, and like just talking about not just doing what everybody else is doing, but like just having an opinion and letting that kind of guide your business. So why don't you talk to us just a little bit about what things you did at the beginning, what you're doing now, to just kind of make sure that your opinion and your thoughts are guiding your business.
Yeah, so in the beginning, I had no idea what I was doing when I was filming a wedding, right? But that was actually my favorite thing. Like, I know all the technicalities about filmmaking. I went to school for that, but I knew nothing about actually filming weddings. I don't think I'd even ever really seen a wedding video before. I was just like, hey, let's just like make one. Like, I literally just wanted to like do whatever the hell I wanted. And that was like so refreshing. And then like I kind of just like kept going with that. Like, it wasn't honestly until Venture in general that I like met other filmmakers. I had no idea. I like lived in my own world. And so it's kind of like I felt like me just like focusing on like my own stuff just let me have so much more like flexibility. And then as you like grow your business, you have to just like make sure that everything you're doing follows what, like I say, like what your opinion is. So for example, I know that like I know exactly how I want each of my films to feel. And so when I'm creating it, if I feel like I need to go and get like other people's opinions, like if I would like critique or something like that, then I don't do it. I'm like, it's not done, because I will know when a film is done. And I will be like crying and all of these things. and so it's like, it's literally like I have like learned to like trust like what my gut is. And then if it ends up being like maybe not like the right thing or something, you just move on. You know what I'm saying? Because all of it is so like, everyone has their own personal opinions, and I think that takes up so much space in your brain to to like try to listen to all of those. Someone once told me to only take advice from someone that you would trade places with. And that is like my favorite thing ever, because especially in this industry, there's so much education, so many like different ways to do things. You have to just like pick your own and just go with it, and just don't apologize.
Man, that's really, really good, trading places with someone, with advice. But man, I think something that maybe you had early on, you're like, I have my opinion and I'm just gonna, do this thing, is that to me says that you have, that you don't lack in self-confidence. Would you, at least, knowing what you want, right? Like, I think that so many people, when it comes to, and you can talk on this if you want, but I think that so many of us, we ask for opinions because we're not confident in our own work or confident in our own ability, so we're trying to maybe get positive feedback from others to build us up, so that, oh, I was right all along, or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think I definitely have a laundry list of things I would always like to improve.
Sure.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, in no way am I like, my film's awesome, like that's not what I'm saying at all. Like, I can look at something and I can make my own like laundry list of things that I would love to like work on. I'm in no way trying to say that. But I do think that having confidence in what you deliver is absolutely important. And it's important on a wedding day. And it's important when you're editing. You have to know like what you're thinking and like what you want the film to be.
So I think a lot of people, especially newer people, kind of get into weddings and they kind of look at forums and look at other filmmakers and they just say, oh, I'm going to try to copy that, or I'm going to be like this person, and they kind of don't have an identity. And I think that's where I lived for probably the first 5 years of my business, was just, I'm vanilla, I'm trying to copy what other people are doing. And so like this idea of like actually having an opinion about things, I didn't start really being that guy till like 4 or 5 years ago. So I want to unpack a little bit more on this whole opinion thing. If somebody out there is listening and they're newer, what advice would you give to somebody, 2 years, or just starting their business, like a couple of years into it? What advice would you give them so they're not just doing what everyone else is doing? How can we have our own opinions?
So my business and like my brand is based off of like me personally, like what I think and what I feel personally. And that's kind of like a risky game to play, because then you get like really involved in things. Like, I think it was actually Christine from White and Reverie was like, don't do that, But like my brand is like 100% like how I personally feel and think about things. And so if you're working on your brand and you're trying to figure out, okay, who are the clients that I want to work with, and if you can figure those things out for like yourself, like what will bring like you joy and what will make you happy, then I think that you can definitely like you from there you can backtrack and have an opinion, like mm-hmm. I personally don't like to make like super happy-go-lucky wedding films. And so it's like, okay, I know that I need to find clients that like really like emotional, they're going to write their own vows, they're going to cry their brains out, And so like from there you can like figure out your client and everything else in your brand.
I think a lot of times people are just drawn to whoever's contacting them instead of like putting out there, this is my ideal, client. I know on our website we put, you might be Redeemed Productions bride if, and had a list of things, like you want to write your personal vows, or you want to cry watching your wedding film, or you want, because that is who we are. And I think that like a lot of people just, it feels as though that they really are just trying to fit in instead of like be them. And we talk about it a lot on attracting and repelling, your ideal clients. What kinds of things are you doing to attract your ideal clients? What type of, down to your website, down to what things are going through your mind of like, how am I going to attract my people?
Yeah. So my website is pretty, I feel like it's pretty direct. And then once they get to my Instagram, it's like even more direct of like who I am personally. Like you can go into one of my highlight sections and it just is called It Matters. And you can click through that and you can see all of my socio-political beliefs, like everything about what I think about being a feminist, like everything. And that's like a risky game to play. But I am very okay with that. Like the people that I get are like, I could truly be like best friends with them.
Right.
And so I think that people, you can watch my films and you might like think one thing, but as soon as you get to my social media, you know exactly who I am on a personal level. And I think that's really key.
And what have you seen like positives and negatives from doing that? Like, I mean, booking the right clients, or have you really upset certain people, or like, how has that been for you? You say it's a risky game, but like, would you say that you're mainly getting messages from people that fully agree with you, or are you getting, how's that working for you?
Yeah, no, I think I've only ever upset somebody like once, I think. And I try not to post things that are like bro-y, right? Like I'm not trying to be like a jerk.
Bro-y.
But, I don't want to be like bro-y. But I definitely like as a female entrepreneur, I want to like post a lot of like things that are supportive of women and like how to like go about life and like make sure you're standing up for yourselves and like be a positive like influence for other women and things like that. And so, yeah, I post those things and I just don't really like care like if I make someone mad, I guess.
Well, in our Facebook group this week, I don't know if you saw the post, but somebody like posted and sent me a message and was like, hey, just so you know, I'm thinking about posting in the How to Film Weddings Facebook group. This last weekend at a wedding, I was like sexually assaulted, and I just want to get people's feedback on that. And it was like, I loved that we've created a place that was safe for people to feel like they could, she posted about it and the community just wrapped their arms around her. And like, I responded, as a husband and a dad of 2 girls, it's just like, I am very much, all about women and women's power and like want my daughters to grow up to feel confident, to have their own opinions, and, like peeling back the layers on me, like I didn't really feel like I had an opinion growing up or couldn't have one. And until like after being married really and like learning who I was, like doing this deep soul searching and being like, oh my gosh, I hate doing these kinds of weddings for these kinds of bratty people. Like I don't want to do that. It's okay if I don't want to do that. It's and so like the whole talk of female entrepreneurs and like we love that. And I would be more proud than anything if my daughters were like, I want to be an entrepreneur. And like it's having that post just like really lit a fire under my butt this week of just like how important it is to like talk about these kinds of things and this kind of topic. And it all does boil back down to like being okay with being you, having your opinion, being okay to voice that in a way that is respectful, of course. But like if you aren't saying these kinds of things or aren't standing up, like nothing ever moves and nothing ever changes. Okay, I'm getting down off the soapbox. Down.
No, I like that soapbox. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate that. No, I totally agree. I'm like a firm believer that if you don't speak up and say something, then you are on the side of the oppressor. And so if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know all of
definitely
my
follow
thoughts.
Becca. Yes. Yeah, no, and I think I think it's really cool that we're in a place, when I started shooting weddings in 2007, that's, 12 years ago or whatever now, it's like that kind of conversation wasn't happening. I mean, Facebook was like 3 years old, so it's like to see how far it's come along, and to see in our Facebook group this young lady posting about her story, and then everyone wrapping their arms around it and like telling her, giving her advice and telling her she's not wrong, and making sure that we have things in our contracts to protect us if something like that happens. I mean, this kind of stuff is why we're doing this podcast. I mean, we want people to feel like they have a voice, and the more that you can have your voice in your films, in your work, the more you're going to attract the people that are, you're going to be able to serve people that are like you. So I know that you mentioned, kind of talking about being a female entrepreneur. I'm talking about it. I did want to jump into our Wedditor question of the week. We love Wedditor. If you need someone to help you with your editing, they're so good. The question of the week is really just being a female entrepreneur. Let's talk about that for a second. What advice would you give to females out there listening? Any kind of advice. I know that's a pretty broad, but like the entrepreneurs out there, what would you say to them?
I would say to connect with each other. So like if you can make other female entrepreneur friends and you can help each other, that is like the biggest thing for me. You can refer each other, even if you're not in the same, like if they're a florist and you're a videographer, you can definitely help each other. Or like you said, having like a community, so like they might not have a safe place where they can come to somebody and say like, hey, like I was sexually assaulted at work, what do I do? Like if you can be that safe space for them, that's like amazing.
We know the time suck that is searching for the perfect song for your wedding film. MusicBed has spent years collaborating with artists, bands, and composers to make it easier than ever for anyone to find the right song for their video.
With amazing artists like Chapters, Tony Anderson, and The Light, The Heat, MusicBed is the best place for wedding videographers to get licensed music.
Their subscription service was a life changer for me, especially since all of their subscription music is pre-cleared for every social media platform: Facebook, Instagram, Love Stories TV, and my personal favorite, YouTube, all pre-cleared.
And if you are interested in a free month of a MusicBed wedding subscription, head over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed. When you sign up, use the promo code HTFW and you will get your first month for free.
Yeah, that's good.
I know that maybe some people hear, that you are a feminist, and so they automatically they swing the other way and think that you must not like men. Right. And I, like you and I have hung out and like we've shot together and like that. And I know that is not your heart. And like, you're fine with guys, but you are, as a feminist, you're like, I want to support women and help other women and that kind of stuff. So what would maybe be a helpful advice that you could give to men who are working with women on the wedding day and that kind of stuff? What kind of advice would you give to us as we work with other women in this industry?
Great question, Nick. I like this. I'm excited to hear what she has to say. Carry on.
Yeah.
She's probably excited what she has to say too, because she's thinking about it. She's like, what am I going to say? I'm on the spot.
I'm giving her some buffer time right now to
me
really
too.
gather her thoughts. Yeah. This is big stuff.
This is good.
So I think that a lot of things happen subconsciously. And so it's kind of difficult in that sense. But I think if you think about like, okay, so like mansplaining, like, are you explaining something to somebody that if they were a man, would you have said that? You know what I'm saying? And are you like giving them a different role or something because they're like female? Or are you like, I don't know, like, are you not letting her like have the chance to direct because she is a female or things like that? And I don't think that most of it is conscious. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that there's a ton of people out there that are like, oh, screw women. Like, Yeah. But it's like subconscious stuff. That happens a lot. And also, I think one of the biggest things is standing up for women if you see that. So that honestly to me is like the biggest thing. So like men have like, you're not born a woman, so therefore you have like a little bit of privilege, right? Because you're not getting like discouraged because you are a female. So with that, like the best thing to do is to like help other people. And so like using that like in like standing up for women or any other person, you know, is like the best thing in my opinion. So if you if you see a groomsman, you know, being a dick to some women, like say something, you know?
Yeah.
It's like when you let things slide.
It's be a decent person, right? I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
You know, do you you know how do you want, you know, how do you want to be treated? How do you want people to talk to you? And if you're around someone that's not talking to someone else politely, or, you know, just how you would in normal conversation, then that's the kind of stuff that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Or like, I was at a wedding the other day and some guest kept calling me like honey and like putting his hand on me, and I was like, no, this is like this is not how this is gonna work, sir. But I mean, there's so much I could say.
We're just waiting to hear what comes out.
No.
She's like, there's so much.
I'm like trying so hard because I don't want to come across like overbearing, and I like would never want to be rude or anything like that. And so I just think that just being aware and saying something if you hear something is great.
Yeah, I think that's for me, you know, like growing up, I had 3 brothers, so it was a house full of boys. Always, I mean, my wife was like the first female that I was really around for more than like, you know, any real time. Like, but like it was 5 guys in my house and my poor mother. And, you know, it was just this, you know, locker room kind of feel and stuff like that. And like I think it's funny now having a house full of girls with my wife and 2 girls, you know, and just the love that I have for them. Like I take that into a wedding day. Like after having my first daughter, you know, Anna, 9 years ago, it was like the first wedding that I went to. After that, I was like, why am I crying? Like, I don't know why I'm crying. Like, watching the dad give his daughter away, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's me in 25 years or whatever. And I was just like, it's really changed my worldview, you know. And I think that, you know, like you say, don't be a dick. I mean, that's really what it all boils down to. Is like, I mean, if you treat people like they're people instead of like if you're better than them or think that you're, you know, the stronger sex or anything. I mean, most people aren't, you know, jerks, but like. Just, you know, that whole post this week and everything, and just, I mean, we didn't necessarily plan to go this direction, but like that post in the group, it just made me want to stand up more for, you know, my female, you know, colleagues. And, you know, I've seen things before and I do step in, but it's just like, it's just really not acceptable. And so like having that opinion, bringing it back to that is like knowing who you are and being confident in who you are will make it, you know, with your wedding film business, your wedding photo business, like you're going to attract the right people. And by putting yourself out there in a way that is completely vulnerable, like Becca is doing, she's attracting her ideal client, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I wouldn't want to do my job if it wasn't for the type of clients that I get, you know? Yeah. It's like, I would literally rather go work at Starbucks and than work with people that I don't agree with on really important topics.
Yeah. And I think that's good. And whether you're the as extreme as Becca has made it, you know, with, you know, putting like political views and like that kind of stuff on your Instagram, or you're just, you know, just sharing the, you know, oh, we like to eat Chick-fil-A every night, you know, whatever it may be, but, you know, just showing yourself a little bit. There's varying extremes of that, obviously, but, you know, the whole thing of being yourself and attracting and repelling, and the way that she is able to find the clients that she is getting and working with the people that she wants to is by putting herself out there. So that's definitely some good advice to take with you as you're thinking about how you run your business. You know, as we were preparing for this podcast a little bit, John was talking to you a little bit about, you know, your purpose in business, and you had this phrase called enthusiastic friendships. And so I just want you to talk about what you mean, you know, when you have, you know, what gives your business purpose. When you say enthusiastic friendships, what do you mean by that?
So a lot of people will like network for business, right? But that doesn't that like comes off so superficial. I feel like in so many ways it's like, hi, I'm meeting you to make money, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like
that'd be awesome if that's what you really said.
I mean that's kind
hi,
of
I'm
what
meeting
you're
you to make money.
Which is fine to do that, but it doesn't like bring me personally anything. Like honestly, like the reason that I love my job is because I do have these, like I get the chance to meet and like be friends with so many different people. So like I said, I lived in Seattle and I was like really fortunate to meet a ton of wedding industry people there. And we're like actual friends, like real life, like not just like, you know, hi, let's make money, you know? And then the same thing when I moved to Denver. I'm so fortunate. There's like an awesome wedding community there. And if you just meet people and you are genuine in the sense that like, if John asked me to help him move tomorrow, I would go help him move, you know? I'm in central Illinois, but if he was like, Becca, like, I don't have anybody to help me, I can't afford a mover, I really need someone to help, I'd be like, John, okay, I will come, you know? And like, you just go and you do the thing, you know? It's like, if you have the ability to serve somebody, do it. That's what I think is like, makes genuine friendships. And then it also does carry over into your work. So when I was like first starting my business and like even now, I trade second shooting with the industry people. So like instead of like paying someone, you just find someone that's like of your level and you just swap with them. I have like a group of friends where like we all share gear if we need gear. It's like it carries over into work, but it's also into like the regular world. And I think that that's really important. And then also same goes for clients. Like I honestly don't, okay, I had to try to say this so it doesn't sound bad, but like weddings it's like not the reason that I do this, you know? I'm not married. Weddings are cool, but the reason I love weddings is because of the couple and how excited they are. They're so like over the moon excited about something, and that's what draws me in and makes me want to work with them. Do you guys know the Enneagram?
Yeah.
John loves the Enneagram. He loves it. It's his favorite.
I don't. But Nick makes me do it all the time, and he's like, "You're a 3W2. That's why you did that." And I'm like, "Okay, bro." Sorry, it's a trigger word. It's like,
he doesn't even know what that means. He doesn't even know what that means. He's like, I just know that because Nick says that that's what I am. But we've talked about it. I like it. I'm into it.
I love it. Yes. And I'm a 7, which is the enthusiast. And it basically means like I'm not going to do something if I'm not passionate about it. And I love people and I love when they are passionate about something. So therefore, like I feed off of that. So like if a client came to me and was like, yo, I'm going to throw this party about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I need you to come film it. It'll be the greatest thing ever. Like we're truly obsessed. I would be there. And I would be like all up in that peanut butter and jelly. And yeah, like I seriously don't care what the event is.
Which I think that leads into kind of the next thing that we're going to talk about with you being a 7 is you said that you actually like kind of schedule spontaneity. Like you're just like kind of last minute, I'm going to travel, I'm going to do this, which is, if you know anything about the Enneagram, John, like that's totally a 7 thing. Like
I know everything.
Yeah. Just like you have this idea. Okay, let's go. So how has, you being the ability for you to be spontaneous, how has that impacted your business and helped you grow and all that kind of stuff?
I literally would not have a business if I didn't like do these things. So basically, you just have to be open to the idea that like someone might text you and like need you to go film an elopement tomorrow. That actually like literally happened to me last week. And I was like, okay, well, I'm supposed to like fly across the country to go second shoot for a friend, but I haven't bought my flight yet. And so I was like, I'll just do it. And so you do it. And then you make your client so happy. They're like ecstatic. And then as long as you make sure you still like are following through in all of your responsibilities, you might sleep a little bit less, but you build your business And so I think it's completely worth it. You build friends, you build your business. My first like big film I'd say that I got to do was an elopement in Barcelona, which I knew about a week in advance. So
I started sweating just hearing you say that.
I had never left the country ever. And I had only I'd never left the country ever before, and I had only filmed like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 weddings or something. And so I was like, okay. And I just learned who White and Reverie was, and they convinced me to get this GH5 set up, and I had never shot with the GH5, and then I was going to go to Barcelona and film this elopement. But it was great.
I do not recommend this strategy to everyone listening, but that's pretty cool.
This would not work if you have children, families,
John and I are out. We are out.
Yeah, large bills that you need to pay, and I don't know, things like that. But as someone who is like single, it completely works. And honestly, like being available on those last minute things, and like not only doing them, but like showing up like excited to be there. Like, it doesn't matter how little sleep I've gotten. I'm pumped to be there. I am like grateful that I'm working with somebody, and I want their day to be like as absolutely perfect as possible. So
I have a question. So like you keep talking about like being fully present and fully excited. What kinds of like tangible things are you doing with your couples to just show them the excitement? Like, what does your process look like getting to know them as they're planning, if they're planning for more than a week, or give you more than a day heads up? But like, what are you doing, to build those relationships with them? What are some tips that we can do to like just be more, enthusiastic with our couples?
Yeah. So I think it literally starts at like the first email. So I'm not like a sincerely Becca Neblock. Like, that's like not me, I just say like chat soon, and I'm extremely conversational and casual. And I know that might be like off-putting to some people, but I'm totally fine with them like peacing out,
Yep.
I want clients that I could literally just like go to a bar with and spend the whole night with them, and it would be a blast. Yeah. So that's what I look for. And then on the actual wedding day, I think it's about like reading the mood. So I have a questionnaire that asks like how they want their day to go. Do they want it to be like more like relaxing and intimate, or are they the kind of couple that want to pop bottles and like take shots with everyone that's there and, be like bumping the whole day? Like, which way do you want to go? So that I know going into it, so you can like help facilitate that. And I ask them like in the questionnaire, like, what are your personality types? Are you more like introverted, extroverted? Are you nervous about anything? So then when you're on the wedding day, like, you can keep those things in mind. Like, okay, so the mother of the bride is like really about things. And so I will just like I'll just be best friends with the mother of the bride, and I'll be like, oh yeah, and you just like kind of like slowly push her out the door. But it's like to protect your bride, And if they want intimate time and there's 1,000 people constantly like knocking on the door, I'll be like, actually, I'm so sorry, like we have to go do portraits, like I know. And then I'm just like, go be free, or if they're getting stressed, just reassure them that like literally nothing can go wrong that will ruin this day, because it's about none of those details. And I think that's part of the confidence, have an opinion thing. Like, I know that like anything could literally happen on a wedding day, and I will take care of them. Nothing will ruin that. And so I think if you can instill that confidence in your couple, they feel like they can relax and like be themselves. And so I think, yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. I was listening to the Gold Digger podcast because I love it. It's for, it's mainly for women, but she said on there that 3% of her listeners are men. So there you go. But she had Barbara Corcoran on this week. She's the Shark Tank. I've read lots of Barbara's books and stuff, and she was talking about being a female entrepreneur in a room full of men and how like much of an advantage she had just by being able to feel things differently and to be able to like assess the situation as a, my natural MO would be going into a room. I mean, I've had 13 years of training, so I know now how to feel a room out differently, but mine was just like task oriented. Oh, okay, I need to turn the lights out. I need to move this thing. I need to get this shot. I've got this. I want to get a makeup shot. Instead of just being like, hey, what's up? Give me a hug. How's it going? How are you? And so like just reassuring them like, hey, at the end of the day, you two are going to be married, like we're good, or giving them just a go be free moment, or, like that kind of stuff is not, my natural thing. And so, I don't know, I was listening to that podcast thinking like, man, I wish there were just more female, wedding industry people. And I see all these awesome females coming up into the industry, and it's like, it's helping. If you're a dude and you're listening to this, like, think about, like, you can get better and be more well balanced and be a better person for your brides on the wedding day if you're not just coming in analyzing things and you're feeling a little bit more. So anyway, again, soapbox, sorry.
No, I totally agree. I think that a large part of the reason people like hire me is for like my personality, because they know like who they're gonna get on their wedding day.
Yeah.
And so I think that like when you go into a room, like, be a human, greet them,
Be a human.
like compliment them.
I know,
they put so much work into how they look, guys and girls. Tell them they look dope. Like, I mean,
you look
guys
dope.
Don't be like weird about it, but you know what I'm saying. Like, just be friendly, and like the more you like compliment them and make them feel comfortable, and I think if you are really excited about the day, they totally will read your energy. So if you're stressed out and like all this crazy shit is going wrong, like, don't show it here. It's like it's like that meme with the dog in like the kitchen when it's on fire and the dog is just like, I'm fine, everything's fine, and he's like smiling. That's me on a wedding day. Like, literally everything can be burning around me, and I will just look at the bride and I'm like, today is amazing,
Yes, everything's fine. That is neat.
Blake, show that graphic right now.
It's great.
Show it.
There's the graphic.
There it is. So yeah, I'm with you. Whenever Jen, my wife, started second shooting, we came together and we're a team. That stuff that you're talking about has definitely improved in how I operate on a wedding day, because she's just like, hey, feel it out. You don't have to get everything that you normally get, if they're not into it. So definitely great advice. So tell me, what CRM do you use? If you're not sure or you don't know what a CRM is, I'm about to save you a lot of time and therefore money. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. Basically, a CRM is an online service that helps you better serve your clients. HoneyBook is both mine and John's CRM of choice. We absolutely love it. HoneyBook allows us to do all of our correspondence, contracts, and payments all in one place. One of the features that I love is the automated workflow. We all have emails that we send out to all of our clients, right? At 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, the week of. All of us do it. Automated workflows make it so that those emails can go out automatically. Since I don't have to take time to, 1, remember to send them out, and 2, to write them, I save time and make more money by working more efficiently. Are you interested in saving time on the business side of things? Go to howtofilmweddings.com/honeybook for a free 1-week trial. Also, because the Honeybooks really like me and John, we can give you $200 off of your first year, and that also comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Go to howtofilmweddings.com/honeybook to start saving lots of time in your business. Oh yeah, legally I have to tell you that John and I are affiliates of HoneyBook.
Yeah.
All right, what's going on now, John? I don't know.
I didn't
have a next thing. I was just adding in.
I love putting Nick in that. This is so fun for me. I mean, a year plus in, it's just I know a lot about Nick now, and like so sometimes he starts talking, and then his voice gets a little higher as he's going, and then he doesn't know where to like what's next, and so sometimes I don't pick up the ball or grab the baton from him just to see what happens. And if you're not watching on YouTube, you missed the reaction. But anyway, I can transition. I got this.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
We're talking about spontaneity. We're talking about like having an opinion on your wedding, like with your couples and things like that. Like, I know that one of the things we were talking about when you were talking about scheduling spontaneity was like you picked up these last minute opportunities to do certain things. And I wanted to kind of talk about some of the things, like some of these styled shoots that you mentioned, getting featured in Junebug and doing, talk to us a little bit about just like being willing to be spontaneous with maybe shoots that you wouldn't necessarily take, what that it looks like for you and how it's helped your business.
Yeah, so styled shoots have been amazing, like a major thing for me, which I think that maybe a lot of videographers like haven't felt that way, but I think that if you have the right team and you're partnered with the right photographer, it absolutely can do amazing things for you. So I did a La Push, like Washington coastal styled shoot, and I think that was my first one that really like took off. So basically I had like met this photographer like forever ago, Dawn Photo. I had met her like years ago, and so I was following her and she did a call. She's like, hey, Washington videographers, we're doing a styled shoot. We can't find anybody who's available. It's in like 3 days. And I just messaged her and I was like, hey, yeah, I can be there. I literally wasn't in Washington at that time. I was in like Illinois or something. I don't know where the hell I was, but I was like, I saw all the vendors. I was like, this is going to be an amazing shoot. I would love to shoot at La Push more often. And so I was like, I will be there. And so I did. And it cost me some money, but I have booked like at least 3 weddings there now because of it. And it got featured in Junebug, and it like did amazing. Like Dawn has amazing like photography skills, and all the vendors were awesome. And so it's like, if you can just make yourself available, just like do it. Same thing with, my Cascades elopement. It's a styled shoot that I did. That was the same situation where it was like maybe a week's notice they're looking for a Washington videographer. And like, again, I wasn't even in freaking Washington at the time. That's like kind of a pain. But it has worked out because you book from it, and then you meet those vendors, you make those connections. You get to make awesome content. Like styled shoots are so fun because you can literally do whatever the hell you want. It's great. And I will say, sorry, did you have something?
No, go for it.
I will say that like almost all of these things have all sprung from like my first year. I got invited to a like industry hangout in Joshua Tree. Like I was like DMing a photographer, and then we became like friends in real life. And then he was like, hey, there's like a bunch of us like wedding photographers that are gonna go hang out in Joshua Tree. You should come. We're just like, it's like next week, but like it'll be super chill. And I was like, okay, cool, okay. And so I did. I went, and I invited another friend of mine who I had just met, and we all went down there, and we all learned so much from one another. And also Nicole, the editor of Junebug, was there. And so and so I met her, and I learned all about like what Junebug looks for with their like when they're gonna show a styled shoot. And so from that point on, you then make connections with all these photographers. You know what blogs look for, and then I'd say like so many of my other like styled shoots and like booked gigs and everything have come from like referrals and things from that. So it's like it's literally like one thing leads to another. If you can just like say yes and like be present while you're there, it can really, really pay off.
Yeah, I think it's Gary Vee talked about it that I heard him just kind of talking about like it's a net kind of game that you're playing with your business, and it's like not everything you do will be a slam dunk or will be a big business builder for you, but if you're not putting yourself out there, you're not even giving yourself a chance to meet new people and to, for some of the more introverted people that don't like getting themselves out there. But like, there are so many things. I think most people are thinking about 3 months ahead, like in life. That's all they can. The decisions at the most, like it's either they're making decisions for their business for like I need money right now, or like the next couple months, and that's about it. But like when it comes down to it, if you're not making decisions and doing things that are going to impact your business for like 2+ years out, like you're missing something huge. And so these kinds of styled shoots or meetups or community events or things like that, like where you're getting to know people and becoming friends with people. Like in 2019, I paid $0 for marketing, and like 80% of my weddings were from industry friends that connected me with other weddings. And these are high paying weddings. And the more that you're in this and the more the relationships you can build and the people that you can meet, it's like Nick and I refer weddings back and forth to each other if we're booked because we're buds or whatever. Like there's just so many benefits to being a part of, styled shoots or vendor networking events, or just like reaching out for coffee for, with a photographer, but like building actual friendships instead of, like you said, like, hi, nice to meet you, I want to make money from you or whatever. It's like making those real relationships with people may not yield you any money or whatever, and that shouldn't be what it's all about. But like most of the time, just by being that good person and by like connecting with others, it is going to pay off big time. And you just never know where like a relationship, just making one connection, what that will do for you in your business and where in the world it can take you. It's a very, very fun game to play. If you've been playing this game for more than 5 years, you can see how important these things are. But like relationships I made, 7 years ago are now turning into $10,000+ weddings that I'm getting now. And I'm just like, man, if in the beginning of my business, I was just spending more time investing into people and talking to them about themselves, like I would be even more, well off now doing the thing that I love, all the time. So anyway, that.
Yeah. I mean, plus it makes things not suck, right? Like if you're going to travel and like do all this work all the time, like having friends there is the ideal situation, or at least I'm just super extroverted. So maybe that's just me, but it's like, if the more people that I can meet, and then if I can like get my friends to meet, and like then they can meet other friends, that's like my perfect world.
So good. Yes.
Love it.
I love it.
And then another thing, as you're talking about these, John and I have talked a ton about it only takes one. Like, spending all this money to fly last minute to Joshua Tree to do this thing, it sounds cool, but will it get me any? You're like, you don't know. But, you go out there and you do something, and it only takes one person seeing one photo that you took, or, one little video clip that you took while you're at this place, and you never know what can happen from that. So kind of, why should you do, a styled shoot when you're like, oh, I have to do all this work and I don't make any money from it? Well, you don't know who's going to see it. You don't know what vendors are going to see. Like, you don't know any of that kind of stuff. So it only takes one, for something to happen. You don't have to do a ton.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. I also think that like you can like learn things from people like no matter what. And so I was
sure.
like, okay, I'm going to go to Joshua Tree. I was like, I know that there are people there that know a bunch of things that I don't. And then hopefully I can contribute back as well,
Yeah.
And so I think as long as you just like go into things with that mindset, then you can make it worth your time.
Definitely.
And I think you can pull, like, we were just out at Vision Quest in Austin last week, and it was like, I met a handful of people that just like by being around them and just feeling their energy, like I was like, I want to do better in my business. And I want to, I've talked about Charlie Hilbrandt before, and it's just like, man, I love this guy's
Charlie.
enthusiasm. And everybody I talk to that knows him is like, I love him. He's so awesome. It's because like he just oozes excitement for, this industry and like elevating it. And I met another guy out of Southern California that just like has become a friend, and it's like he's already referred me to another bride, and it's just like there's just like there's something about being in the presence of other creatives and like getting yourself out there, and why we are so big on getting out to either conferences or workshops. And that's actually where I met you. I was out at Venture last year in Denver, and I think I came across you at dinner one night, and you were sitting at a table with all the cool kids, and I was like, what is this girl doing with the cool kids? Who are you? And I think that's exactly what I said to you. Like, I think that's exactly what I said to you. And you were like, you said, oh, I'm from, the Northwest. And I was like, oh, I bet your Instagram photo has like a really cool, like, you're definitely not looking at your camera, and you're, like, I was just giving you a hard time, but like goofing with you, just being a real person. And it's like, that might have been off-putting to somebody, but like, I just know that like, if I'm just me, the people that are like me, I'll make buds with. And so like, since then, I've been like telling you, add a girl on your videos and your posts and it's like, you need to come on the podcast. And it's like, most of the people that are on our podcast aren't people that are messaging us asking, hey, can I be on your podcast? They're like people that stood out to me and Nick of like, wow, this person has something of value to add to the community. And so I want to talk a little bit about Venture, what your role was there, and how you got connected with White and Reverie, or whoever you got connected with. I want to know a little bit in the last little bit of this conversation just about how you got connected with Venture, what your role was last year, and I want to talk a little bit about this upcoming year. So
I told you how like when I first started, I didn't even know any other wedding filmmakers, none. Well, then I stumbled across Seth Dunlap. Actually, was the very first wedding filmmaker that like I knew existed. And then I saw that he was going to be at Venture. And so I just like went to that first workshop. And I think that was honestly like, I think that was like the end of like my first like real year, maybe. I think I had done like 10 weddings or something. I don't know. But I was just like, you know what? Hey, I want to learn from these people, because again, it's like someone that you would trade places with. And I was like, all these people are like who I want to meet. And so I went and I learned a ton of stuff, and then I implemented it. And then I was like, oh God, I have so much more to learn. So I went to Venture again. I went to the next one. So there was one in November, and then there was one in like March or something. And so I went again. And that's kind of like, they're kind of like, whoa. Like, why is this girl showing up again? Like, but it actually worked out really, really well. Because generally I do feel like when you like get tons of information dumped on you, you can't even like imagine what your next level of questions are going to be. So I went again. And then the third Venture was when I think I had like, I don't know, like message Jay Worsley or something. And I was just like, yo, if you need help, let me like in. I was like, let me come. And so they said, yeah. But I will say, I found out that I was going to help with the third Venture like less than a week before. I had an elopement in Big Sur, and I had only purchased my ticket there. I didn't know I didn't buy a ticket back yet. And I had talked to Christine, and she was like, yeah, I think that would be awesome if you can come. We have to like figure some things out, but I'll let you know. And I was like, okay. Well, she let me know like maybe like less than a week before. And I was like, all right. So then I just flew straight from Big Sur to New Mexico, and I helped there. And then I helped again in Denver.
And so when I saw you, like, it was my first time going to Venture in May of this year. You were kind of doing all of the things. Like, you were kind of just doing whatever. And it was like, what is her role here? What was like, you just took care of everything? And it was like, is she a super detail-oriented person? Or is she just like a go-getter? Or like, what does she do? Like, what did you do at Venture last year? Like, what was your role?
So I was on like the production team basically. So
okay.
Levi was like off running tons of stuff, like always. Like he was just like scurrying everywhere nonstop. But then I was like there to make sure if any like fires happened, I could put them out. And it was just like, okay, just take care of people, make sure that things get done. And so like Levi had a kind of an itinerary, like this is what we need to get done, this is what needs to happen, like we need people out at a certain time, we need to give people things, whatever it was. And I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. And so you just get it done. I would say generally not a very detail oriented person, but if you like give me a task, it will be done well. So there's like a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think like just rewinding it back. It's like you made the commitment and went to the first one because you knew of Seth. And it's like Seth led you to like asking Jay, and then you were at the next one and made friends with Christine, and then like you talk about like reaching out and like being willing to do this next thing, and then like you're doing production stuff for it, and then it's like you've connected with us, and then now you're on the podcast, and the next thing is over here, and it's like you never know what your decisions are going to lead to, but I think it's just really encouraging to people that are kind of feel like they're just wandering, trying to figure out what to do. You know, it's like things lead to other things, and always be looking for opportunities to connect. That's way more important than booking a $10,000 wedding to me. Like those will come, or, you know, like if $5,000, whatever that mark is for you, it's like that kind of stuff will come. But like even at your weddings and like meeting other bridesmaids and other vendors and but like if your blinders are on and you're not paying attention to like the next steps and things that you could do, like you're going to miss out on huge opportunities for your business or for just your life. And so it's really cool to watch somebody that is a little more free without like having to, you know, like check with their spouse and their kids and their, you know, it's like, yeah, I'm in Big Sur and I can just fly to New Mexico. Like that's never happening for a 35-year-old dude with 2 kids and some babies.
I know, yeah.
But it's really cool to see somebody doing that. And it's like, I mean, it has led you to so many different things and will lead you to so many more things because of the relationships that you've built. And so, you know, scheduling that spontaneity, you know, having the enthusiastic friendships, having an opinion, like all this stuff kind of flows into who you are, what you're doing. And it's like really exciting to see where you're going to be, you know, in 3 more years, if you're going to be doing weddings or if you're going to not. But like, I know that the relationship that like you and Nick and I make or whatever, it's like that might come in handy in 2024 for something, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
But like keeping those things open, it really can change your life.
I met Nick at my first venture.
My first venture too. Well, it was the first venture, but yeah,
True.
Yeah, we met there, and then we were actually gonna go. Jen and I were filming a wedding in Seattle this past summer, and I just put on Instagram. I was like, "Hey, any Seattle photographers, you know, want to collab for a styled shoot?" And Becca was like, "Hi," and so. Yeah, and she was awesome. She like did everything, and we just showed up and filmed it. So.
Yeah. And again, like those relationships built, it's like, yeah, Becca's cool. She's great. She's great people. She's who you want to refer. And it's like, if somebody's getting married and you're booked and Nick is like, oh, who would be a perfect person to film that? It's like, I'm going to send them, you know, Becca's name. And so, and like, that's kind of how this works, you know? And it's like,
yeah, it's like you have to be really enthusiastic about like everything. And I do need to like say like one thing about the whole spontaneity situation.
Say it.
You also have to be really like reliable. So it's like, even though I do wait like last minute for like some things, like you always have to like make sure that your prior, like the things that you have like prior like promised can happen. You know what I'm saying? Like I just like want to clarify, you can't be like spontaneous and flaky and blah, blah, blah. You know, you have to like actually do the things and do them well.
Yes. Follow through.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let me, as we're wrapping up time, I have a couple more questions to ask you. The first one, why don't you just, you know, share where, if people want to follow you, you know, where they can find you, you know, and see, you know, who you are on Instagram and that kind of stuff. And then as, you know, this episode is premiering at the beginning of November, 2020 is right around the corner. So what are some things that you're really excited about, that you're really looking forward to in 2020?
Oh man. So hopefully, okay, my 2020 goal is to have more photo video combination weddings.
Okay.
Because that is like my favorite thing. Because I told you how, you know, I love making these friendships. Well, that's like the ideal situation for this, right? So you need a team, so you just hire your friends who are awesome, and then they make money. You have a bomb wedding day, and then they don't have to edit anything, and then you have good content to edit. You know, it's like the best of all of the worlds. And a lot of my weddings are travel based, which can be kind of annoying, stressful, and lonely. And so if you have friends that come with you, then it doesn't suck. So that's like my main 2020 goal, is to have photo and video weddings.
That's awesome. That's a great goal to have. Can you, as a venture pro, Becca, can you shed any light on what is happening for 2020 venture?
Yes. So, okay. I will say I don't know all of the details, but what I do know is that there's going to be a ton of female filmmakers there, and that is like makes my heart happy. I will say there's been a ton of like women attendees, which is really awesome. I think that those like 40% last time were females,
Nice.
which I know whenever I first went to venture, I was like, oh god, I'm gonna be like the only chick in this space. Not the case. And there's more and more of them, and so now it's super awesome because you can go and you can also learn from other female filmmakers. So that is like my favorite thing.
That's awesome. And it's going to be, do we know when yet it's going to be? Do we know that? I know it's like May.
It's
right?
like the
Somewhere
first
in
week
May.
of May.
It's in Denver.
Like the 5th through 9th or 6th
I don't know.
through
Like
10th.
I feel like Blake should put something on the screen again. I don't know.
It's in the first week of May.
Man,
Man, Blake's going to hate Becca. She keeps telling him graphics like, put magic here, put magic there. No. Awesome. Where can people find you on social media? I don't want to forget that one. He asked it at the beginning. Where's the best place
it was a two-parter question. That was my bad.
It's just my name. It's just my name at Becca Neblock. Can Blake like put like a graphic or something?
Yeah, tell him where you want it on the screen.
Like here? Oh, maybe bigger. I don't know.
Bigger. You want to go full screen?
Full screen?
Give her full screen. Put her name on there. Yep, good. If you're listening to this and you screenshot that full screen, we're gonna give you something. I don't know what it is, but screenshot it. We really want Becca to get a lot of followers.
Yeah.
We'll pick one person and give them one of them our bomb new How to Film Wedding stickers. That's what we're going to do.
Dang.
They're cool.
All right.
They are cool. So, well, Becca, we thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and just talking with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much to Becca for coming on our podcast today. We really appreciate the time. If you're listening to this, we want to implore you. We want to ask you to head over to howtofilmweddings.com. There you can catch up on old podcasts that maybe you have missed. We also have some really cool digital products that you might be interested in. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcatcher or on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to it. Leave us a good review so that other people can find us. And until next time, we will see ya.
See ya.